What's up guys, and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to do a little character guide on Oboro, a Void Epic in the Shadowkin faction. This one is a lot of fun. I had an interesting time with this one, so I first pulled her and I got really excited because I hadn't really gotten anyone out of the Shadowkin faction yet, and tried her out. Kinda underwhelming, threw her in the vault. And then just recently I pulled her back out and put a little bit more time into gearing her. She's not maxed yet, but I took a little time, got things closer to where I want them, and used her, and I was pleasantly surprised. So we'll start here by going over her kit. So her A1, Spreading Chaos. Attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff. If I could English here, that'd be great. For 2 turns, will attack all enemies instead if the target is under 4 or more debuffs. So this skill hits surprisingly hard for an A1. I will say, as much as this sounds like the AoE would be pretty easy to get, I haven't had it proc too many times. It can come in handy here and there if you get a lot of, big debuff placer, or possibly in, bosses that have minions and whatnot, but I mostly use her in arena. We'll try her out in a few other places, but that's mostly where I use her, so this doesn't happen all that often. But regardless, A1 hits pretty hard. And then you've got the A2. Attacks one enemy 2 times. The second hit has a 75% chance of transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target. The skill comes in pretty handy. It hits really hard, even being a 2-hitter, and if you notice here, it actually has a really high chance to, land its hits, the chance of transferring debuffs and for stealing all buffs, starting at 75, which is actually pretty high. As you can see here, these 2 books, one in the A1 and one in the A2, these are the only books I've put on her at all. I really haven't invested too many harder to get resources in her, and she's still really good. And again, this skill has been super nice. And this skill is the big one. It places a 30% increase crit rate buff and a 30% increase crit damage buff on her for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy. Places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical. So this skill is the big one. I haven't seen the actual numbers, but it hits really hard, especially, adding in the fact that you get 30% crit chance and crit damage with it before attacking, and then you get the perfect veil, which, if you remember here, gives you the chance to steal all buffs from a target when you have that on. So you usually would start the fight with the A3, then you come back in with the A2 with the added potential of stealing all the buffs. So it works pretty well together, it flows nicely. Another thing that's nice about this A3 is getting that extra 30% crit rate and crit damage. You don't have to build her kit with 100% crit rate, especially for arena. You really don't need to worry about it because you're generally going to start her turn using the A3, and that would easily get you to that 100% crit rate. So I do have mine at 75. We'll go over the stats in a moment as soon as we're done with the kit here. But not needing all of the crit rate maxed at 100, it allows you for more room to deal more damage and set yourself up with others, other stats, more attack, more crit damage, all that fun stuff. So it's pretty nice kit flow, actually. I like it a lot. And then her passive places a Revive on Death buff on this champion for 3 turns whenever they receive a Veil or Perfect Veil. So obviously, anytime you place the Perfect Veil from the A3, you will also get a Revive on Death for 3 turns, which is pretty impressive. And it's really nice because you don't have to build her as tanky. You don't have to build as much health. You get that all the time, and this does not have a cooldown. So anytime you get a Veil or Perfect Veil, you will get another 3-turn Revive on Death, which is a kind of really cool mechanic. I like it a lot. And then the aura of increases ally attack in dungeons by 33%. Pretty hefty. I tend to lean more towards defensive and speed auras, but if you did want to go full attack and try to blow things up, this would be a really strong one to do so. Alright, so getting into my total stats here, and again, this isn't completely optimized. I just started reworking her, so I've got a few things to change, and I'd really like to try her in a Savage kit. I think that would be really fun, being able to ignore 25% of defense. But either way, for right now, we've got her at 32,000 health, 4,076 attack, only 1,400 defense, a little slow at 167 speed, but it works. It fits in with my team pretty well for arena, so it works out. 75 crit rate, and then 190 crit damage, which if you'll remember, that would bring us up to 220 when she gets that buff from the A3. 62 resistance, nothing to call home about there. 94 accuracy, same thing. I didn't really worry about accuracy too much, considering the only main buff she places is just the decreased defense on the A1. I have better champs that do the decreased defense with higher chance to land it, so I didn't really worry about accuracy. Just focused in on the damage. And then for Masteries, as you can see, I haven't even finished her yet, and she's still doing incredible. So I started with, obviously, crit rate, crit damage. Went over here with the damage inflicted to shields 25%, down into increases damage inflicted by 8% for the first hit on each enemy, Ruthless Ambush. That one's actually pretty nice. Cycle of Violence, 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn if the damage inflicted by a skill exceeds 30% of the target's max HP once per turn. Almost every hit. Almost every single strike you're going to land, except for on bosses, is going to do 30% or more. She just hits really hard, so this actually can proc really often. And then we came over here for Single Out, increases damage inflicted to targets with less than 40% HP by 8%. Picked this one up mostly to get down to the rest of them, but this one can help if you get a really tanky person in an arena or in a dungeon, you know, below that 40% threshold. Just get that extra damage to finish them off. And then increases damage inflicted by 6% when attacking targets with higher max HP. So everything I've done with her is about taking down a really tanky target. And again, I mostly use her in arena, so that was my focus. And she doesn't have a lot of health, so this procs on almost everyone. And then when I finish it out here, I'm planning to either grab Blood Shield or Stoked to Fury. And then mainly just coming down for that extra 20% crit damage on Flawless Execution. I thought about trying to go Helm Smasher, but I really want the consistent heavy damage, and even though this can make it hit so much harder, I didn't like the inconsistency of the 50% with it being just a single target anyway, so I'm going to try it first when I get there with the 20% crit damage, and if I start having problems with it, I'll respec it all and then go for the Helm Smasher, but starting with the extra crit damage. And then a little bit of accuracy, just didn't really know what to do with her there. Again, the support, this one's going to be mostly a placeholder for now. When I redo everything, I'm kind of thinking about trying to get down here to the Retribution, just for the extra chance to counterattack since that A1 hits really hard. But we'll see. Alright, so let's get in here and see what we can do with her. So, we'll start in the arena. Let's pick a team. This one might do it. Mainly I'm just looking to go first and in one where my nuker isn't going to completely blow it up. So the way I use her is I've got my speed lead in High Katoon. Haven't gotten anyone better yet. I've got my Madam Ceres, decrease defense, decrease attack, and then let's see, I'm actually going to use the weaker strike here. Normally with Rey, if you'd seen the previous video, you'd see how hard she can hit. I would start with this Arcane Wave, inflicts extra damage against targets under debuffs, but considering I may one-shot all of them, or close to, I don't quite want to do that, so I'm going to go ahead and use this weaker skill just so that I can leave one alive. And then now we are to Oboro. So you get in here with the ninja arts, the increased crit rate, crit damage, attack, perfect veil, all the crazy fun stuff. And we'll just look here. So who do we want to eliminate? Let's see, I use her against tanky targets, so let's go ahead and hit Under Priest. Let's see how much damage we can do against him. And there it is. 45,000 in one shot. The rest of this fight may or may not go well, but that's how I use her. I pick a target and you eliminate them. And that's about how it works with her. We'll just finish out this battle here. We'll go ahead and blast him with that. And now all we got is an unkillable Skull Crusher. But we're under the perfect veil, or veil, I can't tell which it is now. So we'll see. We have a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from the target. So let's see if that works out. And it didn't. Almost one-shotted him there if he hadn't had unkillable, as you can see. But now we still gotta wait, because unkillable is obnoxious. And we'll see if we can pull it off with that. Nope, no such luck. Can we pull it off with that? And we got it there. And we'll finish him off. So, unkillable's a pain, but as you can see, she hits really hard. We'll see if we can find another one here. Preferably without a speed lead, so we can just kind of get to the fighting. Actually, we can try this one. Oh, Skull Crown. That would be dangerous. Let's see. This ought to be a really strong team. Let's see if we can do it here. At least show off some of that damage. Alright, speed boost. Debuff. And then this one's a really strong one, so we'll go ahead. This is how I normally run when I'm doing arena. I'd come in, blast them with that skill, and then we come in here and do the cleanup. So let's go ahead and take out Godseeker because she's got the revive, if I remember right. And as you can see, just blasted. She's gone. Done. Out of this world. And the provoke, A1's there. Come on. Okay. See if we can finish up this fight. We might get to use her again. Okay, so we'll try that A2 again. And as you can see, not as strong in that one. Probably because we didn't have the decreased defense up. And we'll use the A1. A little bit weak there. And we lose the nuker. So now we're in for a fun time. Man, I love Miscreated Monster. Really wish I could have got him. Alright, so let's go ahead and go with the Ninja Arts skill again. As you can see, it looks like we got that extra cooldown from the Cycle of Violence, and we'll use that again. And pretty good crunch at 24,000. Sadly, he didn't have decreased defense up, so it didn't one-shot him. And now that he's got a fear, let's try that again. And she gets him, and that time we hit close to a little over 30k. So, a little bit of a rough fight there. But as you can see, she hits really hard, and she's really useful at cleaning up tanky targets after an AoE. And I've really had a good time with her in arena. So now, let's go try her in a dungeon. So, I don't really use her too much in dungeons, having a pretty full kit. But obviously, anyone's good in Minotaur because he's easy. Let's go ahead... Let's go ahead and try her in a full damage team on Spider. What do we got here? Let's go ahead and do it on... Whoops. Let's do it 13. I farmed stage 13 because it's pretty quick and pretty easy. So, let's go... We'll take her here. He's got the weaken. We got another nuker, some more nukers. And let's just see how much damage we can get on a boss with her. Take off auto so we can do it ourselves. Sadly, she's raised a little faster than my debuffer and Rosin here, so I gotta wait a moment for him. So let's go ahead and just use the A1 for now, because I want to see the full damage when we have the decreased defense and weaken. So we'll go ahead and use that. And we only got the decreased defense, sadly. Go ahead and Heartseeker here. And then we'll hit her with another one. Then we'll blast some more spiderlings, and then we'll get back to Oboro. So we're going to go ahead and use the big skill, seeing as that it's under decreased defense, and we'll see how much damage she does here. And pretty good wallop at 45k. Obviously, I think she could do better, but that's a pretty solid hit. We'll just stick it on auto there. I don't really use her in dungeons all that much. I can see early on in playing she could be really helpful adding some high damage potential, possibly even in like Ice Golem for easily taking out the little side minions, or even just laying decent damage on the boss. But my main focus for her is just for arena and being that really heavy anti-tank for when my nuker and Ray just can't quite do the job. And as you can see there, her auto hit for about 40k, pretty solid. So she's really solid in damage. Yeah, almost 40k again. So she does really good damage. She doesn't bring a whole lot to the table besides damage and the little bit from decreased defense on the A1. But like I said, I don't really build her for the accuracy or anything to lay that because I have other debuffers. So it's just about the damage. And she does a really good job of that. Now if my team here could ever finish the spider, that would be great. Get out of here. Lay that in. Boom. Good for almost half a mil. Not bad. And we get a potion. And I wouldn't heavily suggest using her in Clan Boss. I guess you could if you didn't have almost anyone else, but really her biggest potential, for me at least, is in Arena. Like I said, you can use her in Dungeon. She does a lot of damage, though it is single target most of the time, except for rare circumstances on that A1. But at least for Arena, she's been really helpful and been a lot of fun to run next to a heavy nuker. So she's been super useful there. For your sake, I hope you've gotten her, and I think she's been a really good addition to the Shadowkin faction. Anyway, that has been my quick review and guide for Oboro. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had a good one, and catch me in the next video. Bye.